Okay, today we will continue with how to transpose the data, how to pivot and unpivot the data, and how to reverse the data. Also, we'll take a look at it. Okay. So first of all, what is pivoting? What is pivoting? Pivoting is something like converting the rows to columns. Okay, converting your rows to columns. That is what you are pivoting. Rows to columns, and the unpivoting is the opposite. Okay, unpivoting is the opposite. I'll just go to the Power BI desktop and then I will show you that when I just launch the Power BI desktop, it takes some time to launch it. Let me close the files that I don't use it so that it will not cause any slowdown. It's being launched. Wait. Okay, now it's being launched, the Power BI desktop. Still, it takes time to load it. Okay, it has been launched. Now what I'll do is to demonstrate the transpose, all the things. I'm going to use a simple data set. I just use an Excel data set. Click on Excel workbook. And here I just go and load the expenses dot XLX file. So this is my expense file. This is my Excel file. The navigator window, we can see the preview, right? This is my expenses Excel file. In this Excel file, I have two sheets are there. Okay, two Excel sheets. I'll just show you in the Excel file also. Click on the Excel, this sheet. So this is what the Excel file I have it. This is the one I loaded it there. And you can see that in this Excel file, okay, the two sheets are there, expenses and yearly expense. You can forget about the sheet one. Okay, I think I loaded expenses.xlx, but I opened expenses one.xlx file. Okay, let me do one thing. So in the Excel file, we have two sheets. One is the expenses, yearly expenses. I just click next to the expenses in the checkbox, okay? And I can see the data here. These are the data are available in this sheet. In a single Excel file, we have two sheets, okay? And I'm going to click on this one now. Yearly expenses sheet, subsheet. And I don't need this data. And I'm going to use the expenses only, okay? Expenses sheet. I'm going to hit the load button. I'll start with the pivoting. The pivoting is the pivot. What is pivot? I believe all of you would have done pivoting in Excel, right? Most of you would have done pivoting in Excel. If you have not done, don't worry. I will show you in Power BI itself what is pivoting is all about, what is unpivoting is all about. Now the Excel file expenses is being loaded. Done. So this data are being loaded. 1 second. Let me just do one thing. Just beneath the data pane, we should be able to see the file which you loaded. Yes, the file is loaded. And these are the columns are there in this table. I switch to data view to view the data that are available as per the expenses. So whatever I've shown in the Excel file, the same data, you can see it here also. This is what the content. Okay, I just actually this is not the correct one. Okay. So this is the data, and I just move to the switch over to the report canvas view, and here transform data. I'm going to click on the transform data. This one will open up the Power Query editor. Okay, because in the Power Query editor, only you can do data reshaping. You can reshape the data. You can do data pre-processing, cleaning, everything. Okay. I just clicked on the transform data. Currently, we are in the Power Query editor. Currently, we are in Power Query editor. I have loaded the expenses file. So in the expenses file, we have 4 columns are there. Okay, 4 columns are there. We'll start with understand what is pivoting is all about. I'm going to click on the transform ribbon. I just currently we are in the transform ribbon. In the transform ribbon, we can see something called transpose, and also we can see the pivot column here. Can you all see it? The pivot column and unpivot column is available. And we have something else for transpose and reverse stores. We are going to explore all these options, okay, features that are available in the Power Query editor. Okay. To start with, let us understand what is pivot column is or what is pivoting. So using this option, pivoting option, we can convert the rows into columns. See, year 2020, if you look at the year column, 2020, 2021, 2022, 3 years are there. Okay. And each year, we can see 9 months data are there. So for year 2020, 9 months data are there, expenses related data. Okay. And also we have Q1, Q2, Q3. Let us ignore the quarter column. And 9 months for each year, we have the expenses data is available in the sheet. And if you see the row here, in this row, you can see the 2020 data is stored in the rows, right? Rows. This is your row. And this is what your column, right? So I want to convert this row, the year, into columns. Instead of displaying 2020 one after the other, I want to display the 2020 here and 2021 here, 2022 here. Okay. So I want to convert this rows into columns. That is what pivoting. How do I do that here? Click on the pivot column icon here. First, I selected the year column, step 1. Click on the pivot column icon. And when you click on the pivot column icon, so it will open up a window, something like this. Here, values column. Okay. So which column you want to use it to do the pivoting. So year column, I want to do the pivoting. Okay. And what value you need to use it for the year column. So I am going to use expenses. And we have something called the advanced option. Here you wanted to do sum or aggregation, some minimum, maximum. In the analytics project, if anybody asks you what is, can you tell me the aggregator function? You need to tell these functions, okay? Minimum, maximum, median, average, sum, and count. Okay, these are the aggregation functions, okay? So expenses, sum. Okay, I hit OK now. So now what will happen is all these years will get displayed in columns. And if you see here, if you want to see 2022 data, right, you need to scroll down further. Up to 6-month data is there. If you want to see 3 more months data, because each year 9-month data are available. To see the to year 2022, 7th month, 8th month, 9th month, you need to scroll down. But when you do the pivoting, let us see what happens. The report becomes very compact. Look here, the year 20, now the row became columns here, 2020, 2021, 2022. Okay, and then the month remains as it is because we did the pivoting on the year column. All the row values of your year column got converted as a columns. Here you don't have to scroll down. Look here, 9 months expenses. You can see it in one go for all the 3 years. You don't have to scroll down. It is so compact, isn't it, with pivot? Sometimes what will happen is when you rotate the data like this, convert from rows to columns, columns to rows, you will get some additional insights. But here the advantage is it is pretty compact, right? You don't have to scroll down and all. Pretty compact. So very good. Now you understood what is pivoting. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to undo this one. When I click on the cross next to the pivoted column, it helped me to get back the previous original data. Okay. What I'm going to do is I just keep the cursor over here, right click on it, duplicate. We have something called duplicate option is available. And again, I'm going to select the original data set. This time I'm going to use reference. We have duplicate and reference option is all. I'll just explain you one more time. Click on the expenses query, right click on it. You will find the duplicate and reference. The duplicate, as the name suggests, it duplicate the query. Okay. Hence, you will find the redundant data here. But references, it is not a duplicate, but it will create a duplicate of the table name, the query name, but the data are coming from this one only. But in this case, these two are completely different. Since you have taken the duplicate of this one, it's a Xerox copy, okay? Original and Xerox copy. But here it is not like that. This is your original, and this is something like you are viewing through a lens, okay? If you make any changes in your expense file, that will get reflected here. And this one is different because in this case, we have taken a Xerox copy. If you make any changes in your original document, do you think in the Xerox copy also will get reflected automatically? What are the changes you made in the original document? No, right? The same philosophy is applicable here. The same principle is applicable here. In the case of duplicated queries, whatever changes you make it in your the original query, that will not get reflected here. What about this one? This is the simple analogy is you are viewing this data using a lens. Okay. You are using a mirror or lens. In that case, it just simply reflect whatever is there here. It is not physically stored. The data is not physically stored. Okay. But if you make any changes here, you can see it here. It's something like you are holding a mirror in your face, right? If you clean your face, okay, for example, you are cleansing your face, right? And you clean your face. Immediately, you can see the reflection in the mirror. Whatever you say, do it, you can see it there. The same thing is applicable. So in the expenses file, original file, whatever change you make it will get reflected here. Whereas if you make any change, it will not get reflected because these two are independent. Once you take the duplicate, this is different, this is different. You make any changes, maybe the data are same, columns are same, but if you make any change, that will not get reflected here because it's a Xerox copy. Okay, fine. So now I just explained you duplicate query and reference query. This one I duplicated it. What I am going to do is now I'm going to do the pivoting and I'm going to select the expenses. Simply hit OK. This is one view. This one you can share it to your manager. And I just rename it. Give some meaningful name. Pivot expenses. Next, what I do is, okay, I delete this. Okay, I delete this. I'm going to reference this one, okay? or I'm going to duplicate this. Now what I do is, let's say, your data is, let's say your manager given you the data in this format. You did the pivoting already. He wants you to do the unpivoting. I right click on it, rename it with some meaningful name, unpivot expenses. I just press enter. So in this case, I'm going to select the columns which I want to unpivot. Okay, these columns, this one you need to unselect it, click on it one more time. And then this one, I'm going to select these three columns. Okay, these three columns I want to unpivot it, which means convert these columns into rows. Okay, and I'm going to click on the unpivot. Now it got unpivoted, right? So it got all the columns got, look here, these columns got converted as rows. You can see the 20, 20, 20, 21, everything. But here you need to rename the column. Okay, here, and this is your expenses. And then if you move this somewhere here, year, month, expenses, it is exactly like your original data, right? Original data. You see, but if you sort it here, if you go here, sort ascending, you can see 2020, 2021. So for each year, 2020, and here also you can do ascending. Okay, each year, 9-month expenses are available here. Fine, cool. It looks exactly like my original data. Supposing when they give you the data, it's something like this. You need to convert this, you need to unpivot it. How do I do the unpivoting? Select the columns which you want to convert it as a rows. These columns needs to be converted as rows. How do I select more than one column? You need to hold the control key. Please make sure that you are holding the control key. Supposing I have selected these three columns and mistakenly I selected this column. Hold your control key. You click on it one more time, this one will get unselected. And to select multi-columns, you need to hold the control key. And if you want to unselect a specific column, that is also possible. But make sure that you are holding the control key in your keyboard. Okay. Once again, if you click on it, it gets selected. Now I want to unpivot it. That's it. I just clicked on unpivot icon here. And that's all, right? And then look here, unpivoted columns. This is what is happening here. 1 second, I'm getting a call from office. Just give me a second. Please be here. Yeah. So in this case, I could have created, I could have done the pivoting and pivoting in this data itself. I just duplicated it. The reason is, if your manager wants to see the pivoted data, pivoted view, the reshaped data, especially the reshaped pivot data, if they want to see it, you can, ask them to click on it. Or if they want to see the original data, they can click on it. Okay. And if they want to see the unpivoted data, for example, when they gave you the data, the original data itself look like this. He wants you to unpivot the data, okay, using Power Query Editor. So in that case, you can ask him to click on it here. You can see this. So the unpivot is when you click on, when you do the unpivot, it'll be something like this. Okay, fine. Now what I will do is, I will just show you here itself one more thing. So if you click on the unpivot here, if you click on the unpivot drop down here, you have three options here: unpivot columns, unpivot other columns, unpivot only selected columns. So in this case, what happens is, for example, this is what my data set. Okay, here itself I'll show you. If I take the copy, you will get confused. Okay, but that is how you need to share it. Okay, that will, for example, what I'm doing is, when you click on the unpivot here, it is nothing but this one. Okay, it will open up the dialog, and it will open up the dialog box, and then it does the unpivoting. So it is not going to open anything. You need to select whichever columns that you want to convert it as a rows. And then if you click on it, it will convert the rows. Clicking on this icon as well as clicking on this one is same. Okay, when you click on this, this is the one will get clicked, behind the scene. Okay, and supposing I want to use the second option. What is the second option? Unpivot other columns. What do you mean by unpivot other columns? For example, in this case, we have only for 3 years are there, isn't it? 2020, 2021, 22. And where is the month? The month is missing here. Pivot. Okay, I did not use month here. Okay, I have excluded. So supposing you have 12 months, 12 years data are the 2012, 2013, 2014. Likewise, 10 year, for 10-year data, you have 10 columns are there. If you want to unpivot all the year data, you want to consider rows, you need to hold the control key, you need to select each and every column manually, right? You need to hold the control key to select more than one column. And again, you need to click on 2023, 2024, 2025, something like that. Instead, what you do is you just don't select anything. And for example, I want to select only the quarter here. Okay. And wait, why choose quarter here? Let me do one thing. Yeah, this is what I needed. I just delete this one. We'll go with the month. Okay. Month column. Okay. So in this case, we have 3 years data are displayed in columns. And what I want to do is, I want to select month and quarter. Or quarter column is not required. I'm going to remove it. Okay. Let's make it a very simple one. I just select month columns. Month column. Instead of selecting these 3 columns manually, I want to select a column which I don't want to do the unpivot. Okay. Unpivot other columns. In this case, except this column, rest of the column, it does the unpivoting. That's it. Instead of manually selecting these 3 columns, you select the column which you don't want to do the unpivot, and then you click on unpivot other columns. Look here, 20, 20, 21, or all the 3 year became now rows. See, both of them are same, right? So both of them are same, but the difference is convenience. Okay. If I ask you, for example, I repeat once again, listen very carefully. Since, Sushmita, I'll repeat it. Don't worry. Okay. Let's say your manager is given you the data like this. He wants you to unpivot the data by year, which means he is expecting you to convert these years into rows instead of columns. Okay. So what you will do, you just you need to select these 3 columns because you want to convert these 3 columns into rows. Manually, you need to select by holding the control key. Instead, what we are doing is smartly, what they have given option is, you don't have to select these 3 columns manually. Select the column which you don't want to do unpivoting, and then click on here. Use the select second option. Except the first column, rest of the column you unpivot it. That's all. You are done. And then you need to rename it. So you need to specify year, and then this one is expenses. Month, year, expenses. Got it? That's all. And then if you drag this somewhere here, it will be like your original data. And if you go and sort it in ascending order, and if you go and sort it in ascending order, you're done. Okay. That's all here. You understood? So if you simply click on this, before click on this, you need to select all the 3 columns manually. This is the given data. I want to convert this data into, I want to unpivot this data set, okay, this report based on years. You need to select it manually. This is a painful thing. Instead of selecting it manually, let's say I don't want to, select these columns because I have 100 columns are there like this. Each and every column, selecting it is a painful thing. Better you select those columns you don't want to do unpivoting. Instead of using the first option, use the select option. Second option, it does the unpivoting. Look here. For the rest of the columns, it did the unpivoting. You understood, right? What is pivoting? Converting rows into columns. Unpivoting is the opposite, converting the columns into rows. That's it. Basically, we are rotating the data in simple, plain English. Okay, fine. So now you understood what is what are these two options. Okay, and the last one is unpivot only selected columns. That is, I wanted to unpivot only the selected columns. So this is, let me do one thing. This is a pivoted. Select only the selected columns. It is same. You select all the columns that you want to unpivot it. Unpivot only selected columns. Same thing. Okay. Unpivot only the selected columns is same as the first one. The second one is pretty simple, convenience sake. Those column you don't want to do unpivoting, you select that column and you click on it. Rest of the columns will get unpivoted automatically. Okay, you don't have to manually select them. Okay, that is the advantage of that one. Got it. And the next one is the pivot. Now you understood these three options. The first option is unpivot. In this case, you need to manually select the columns which you want to unpivot it. Same thing is with the third option. And the middle option is you don't have to select all the columns which you need to unpivot it. Select the column which you don't want to unpivot it. Simply click on that, select the column which you don't want to unpivot it, and then click on this one. Rest of the columns will get unpivoted automatically. Okay, the pivot is the opposite. Okay, rows to columns. Instead of 2020 here, see 2020, you need to scroll down and see. You can convert this one as rows to columns. 2020 will create a column for 2020, 2021, 2022. Year will not be there. And that is what we have seen it. Right? Where is the pivoted one? This is the one. So 2020, 2021, 2022. This is your original data, isn't it? This is your original data. After I did the pivoting, look here in the apply steps itself, I'm going to click on it. So after we did the pivoting, this is how the data, it looks so compact. Hope you understood what is pivot and unpivot. Converting the rows to columns is pivot. I just write it so that it will get registered in your mind. Yeah. Okay, I think this is not working. Okay, you understand that one. Okay, so in this case, the pivot is nothing but converting the rows into columns. Unpivot is the opposite, columns to rows. Why this is not working? Let me just see. Yeah, now it's working. The pivot is nothing but convert rows into columns. Unpivot is convert columns into rows. Hope you understood. Okay. So here in the unpivot itself, they've given 3 options that is specific to Power BI or Power Query Editor. Okay, for convenience sake, they've given. All right, the next one is the transpose. What is transpose? Transpose is something like you are rotating the table. Okay, this is my data set. If I click on the transpose once, okay, I just click on the last one. Okay, here I just remove all the unnecessary thing. Okay, so now what I do is I just click on the transpose. You don't have to select any column. Simply go to transpose and then you click on it. It got rotated, the data got rotated. Supposing you have something like, I just write it here. Here something like 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And this is your month. You just think that that's what we are seeing, right? So earlier it was something like 1, 2, 3. It got rotated something like this. The column became rows, 1, 2, 3. This is, so initially it was there like this, isn't it? Look here. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Because of space problem, I just wrote just 3 numbers here, okay? And when you use the transpose, what will happen? Okay, I just write it here, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 months are there, 9 months values. In this case, when you click on the transpose once, what happens is it will get rotated. And here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Similarly, other values. In month 1, how much expense we made. And month 2, what is the expenses? Okay, simply it helps us to rotate it. Here the month 1 was 5,000. Month 2 was 10,000. Okay, not only this column got converted as rows, including the second column, all the columns got converted as rows. Converting from column to rows is possible with transpose. Okay, it simply rotates your data from columns to rows. And once again, if you click on it, it'll get rotated again. Now the row will become columns. When you click on it once, it'll get converted from columns to rows. When you click on it one more time, the row will become columns. You might be wondering why we need this option. Sometimes what will happen is when you, like I said earlier, you will get different perspective. When you rotate this one, okay, in month 1 alone, all the 3 year put together, how much expense? See, this one gives you a quick idea, right? So month 1 and month 2. And when we see here in the 2023, 2022, the recent year, the expenses are less in month 1, whereas in the recent year, month 2 is more, the expenses more. So to give you the different idea, right, you can get in here. You can use this. It's up to you. If you want to use it, you can use it. It is not mandatory. These are all as part of data exploration. We are doing it. Our end objective is we want to create the reports. But before creating the reports, we want to explore and understand what is happening in the data. Okay. Can we gain any insight? Sometimes when you rotate the data or reshape the data, pivoting and unpivoting, you do it, you will get different idea and different perspective. Okay. So if you look at every problem in a single aspect, sometimes what will happen, you will not get a solution. When you think a single problem in different angles, you will get different solutions. Out of those solutions, you will select the best one, right? The same principle applicable here also. When you view the data by rotating it in different columns to rows and rows to columns, you will tend to get different perspective about that. Okay, but with the transpose, we don't have to select any columns. It rotates the entire data into from columns to rows, and the rows to columns also possible with transpose, right? So with the transpose, we can do pivoting and unpivoting, but here we don't have to select any columns also, right? Without selecting the column itself, it is doing the thing here. For example, I just go back here and then I remove this column. Which one? The quarter. Okay. If I select only this column and then if I do the transpose, it is doing the same thing. Okay. Whether you select or not, simply it rotates the entire data. Okay. With respect to the column that you selected, it simply rotates the entire data, rows, columns to rows, rows to columns. For that purpose, you can use transpose. And if you want to do the pivoting on a specific column, or if you want to do the unpivoting on a specific column, then you can use these two options. Now you understood the difference between pivot, unpivot, and transpose. With transpose, you need not to select any column. Even if you select a column, when you click on it once, it'll convert all the column values into rows. Okay. And all the rows into columns. When you click on it one more time, it converts it, it reshapes it. Okay. That is the difference between transpose, pivot column, and pivot column. And then the next one is, yes, Sushmita, give me a second. The next one is what is the reverse rows? Reverse rows, it will display the last record as the first record, and then last but one as the second record, something like that. Okay. Look here, the first month data got displayed at the bottom. The second month is at this second bottom, right? So you want to transpose the data, sorry, reverse the data. Okay, last one is first one is last, and last one is first. If you want to reverse the rows, you can use reverse rows. The transpose and reverse rows is pretty straightforward, the difference. In this case, the last row will become first row will become last row. Which one? The reverse rows. Whereas in the case of transpose, it converts your entire column data into rows. When you click on it one more time, entire rows data, it will convert the columns data. That's it. In one way, the transpose also doing the pivoting and unpivoting, but irrespective of selecting a specific column, right? It does the pivoting and unpivoting for the entire data. If you want to do the pivoting for a specific column, click on the pivot. And if you want to unpivot on a specific column, you can use this option. Hope you understood the difference between transpose, reverse rows, unpivot rows, and pivot column. Got it?